So I'm Max and I'll be talking to you guys today a little bit about myself, what I've done in life and kind of what conditions I've got as well in the kind of area of National Autism Awareness Week, so you can guess one of them. So, I'll give you a bit of an introduction. I have autism, so autism is very hard to explain because it affects a lot of people differently. Some people find socialisation very difficult. Some people are non-verbal, so they can't actually communicate properly. Some people just find social norms very difficult. For instance, what to say, if something's a joke, if something's not. Some people find it hard to feel empathy for others. And there's a lot of stereotypes that come with autism, so they think that someone with autism can't look someone in the eye, or can't be intelligent or smart or talented in something. Some people with autism find sensory issues quite hard, so they see lights, they hear noise, it overwhelms them, they can't cope with it being noisy or in stressful situations. For instance, growing up, I found that, for instance, the simplest thing like parking, when you drive a car, it is quite hard for me because if I can't park, I then start thinking, oh gosh, what am I going to do? As people without the condition will just kind of think rationally and think, okay, I'll just park somewhere else. But for someone who has autism, it can become to the point where some people experience meltdowns, and because it's an invisible condition, it can be quite hard to pinpoint. But the biggest point of someone with autism is just listening, really, and making sure that you can support them in a way that they need support, and just being their friend can really help. So it's just really important, things like that. I suffer with OCD. So OCD is obsessive compulsive disorder. A lot of you guys will know it as kind of like someone that just washes their hands all the time, but it's a little bit more than just washing hands. It can be a range of different things. One of my obsessions once was every time I used to go out, anything I touched, like a stick or a rock, I used to take home. Don't know why, was not useful to me whatsoever, so, but I used to do that. The other one is ADHD, so a bit hyperactive, can't pay attention to anything too long, just lose interest, and talk about whatever. Big fan of football, big fan of Man United, get a bit of booze for that, or a bit of cheers, I don't know. Who's a Man United fan? I look like I'm in the right place. This is what I'm talking about. We're not doing well at the moment, but we're going to get there. Slow and steady. Who's Chelsea? Oh, one in the room. Oh, Liverpool. Oh, got a bit of division here. It's a bit like Brexit at the minute. So, Tottenham. One. And the last one, guys, is where I suffer with epilepsy. So epilepsy, I suppose you might have seen it in people on TV, flashing lights can cause seizures. Luckily mine isn't that. Mine, they don't know. 90% of cases, actually, they can't tell what causes epilepsy. So full-time work, I work in IT, guys. I do YouTube, so I've been on YouTube 10 years, still trying, guys, still trying to get there. Not foodie pie level yet, but still trying to get there. So YouTube, I do funny vlogs, I'm involved like my nan, playing Grand Theft Auto, things like that. You guys as well. I also do acting. So my acting career took off in 2013. I then started appearing on shows like Oldie City on BBC. I then went on to Doctors on BBC, and I'll go into some of the other shows I've done later on in the presentation. It's such a competitive industry that if any of you guys want to do it, you can do it, it's doable. Don't think that you have to go to drama school and all this stuff. It's good if you do, but it's not the be all end all. I always say to people, make sure you do well in GCSEs, study as much as you can, but I'll get into it a little bit later, but I mean, I was never good with education. I'm rubbish with maths, I'm rubbish with English. Not that I didn't try, but I just couldn't get the concept. But it doesn't mean that your life just finishes, you know, if you don't accomplish that at school. You know, one thing I want you guys to go away with is, you know, you can do well, despite what anyone says or what you achieve at school. Off the back of the acting, I was chosen to ambassador for the National Autism campaign, so now I'm ambassador for them. I sometimes go to the Houses of Parliament just talking about how we can improve the understanding of autism and what they can do to put things in place, because government at the moment are so busy with other things like Brexit, they kind of sometimes lose sight of important issues that need to be raised. You guys won't know, but a statistic from the Autism Society is only 16% of people with autism are in full-time work. That hasn't changed for 10 years. Another statistic, you know, it's 90% of employers actually admitted they didn't want to hire someone with autism because they didn't know how to support them. So, my task throughout life, you know, I suffered with autism quite severely when I was younger. I couldn't talk till I was 6, and now I make up for it and give an opportunity. But I kind of fight for the people that can't talk, that can't communicate, that aren't given the opportunities in life, because I want anyone, you know, who's got a disability or autism to do well in their life. And I don't think the opportunity should be taken away from them just because they've got a condition or a disability. And then I do what I can for charity every year. So my first year I started off big, guys. You can see it on my YouTube channel. I've done a skydive. I hated it. A lot of people come out and go, I loved it, it was brilliant. Not me, I hated it. My skin literally went from there all the way back here. So yeah, it was terrifying. It felt like someone put their hand down my throat and was just got my lung and threw it out. It was horrible. But if you happen to go on YouTube, just type up my name, put skydive in, and you'll get to see Flappy Bird 2 in action. So yeah, it was horrible. Never again. The year after, I done an abseil for the Autism Society. That was actually worse than the skydive, surprisingly, because you're on a rope, and you know, I'm not the lightest of guys, so I'm thinking this is going to snap. You know, like I'm just going to fall and plummet like a pancake. And they make you lean back, and you're like, oh, all right, yeah, and then they're like, all right, off you go, and I'm like, what? And then you've got to lower yourself, and this rope is like burning your hands, and I'm just going at a speed. My dad's filming it at the bottom, he's going quick, isn't he? He's not scared. No, I can't control the rope, Dad. I'm falling. So that was scary. So the year after, I thought, I'm going to take it easy, guys. I'm going to do a 15k run, no danger. Just I'm going to run for 10 miles. Anyway, it took me 4 hours. I was the last person to come through the finish line. It was on the hottest day of the year. I was sunburnt to a crisp, and I was literally moving like that for a week. So I'm not doing that again. So this year I decided the skydive and the abseil, yeah, they're bad, right? But it's about a minute worth of pain. There's 4 hours in the sun, running out of breath. No thanks. 2 minutes, that's my deed of the year done. So that's what I'll be doing this year. Zip line in Wales, it's the biggest and fastest zip line. So I talk about myself at primary school, there's me. Relationships with friends. I always found it hard to make friends. As I said, I couldn't speak till I was 6, so it was very difficult. I remember people were playing football, guys, right? And I would run in the middle of the pitch, and I would grab the football and I'd run with it. And they'd all have a birthday. They'd go, what are you doing? What are you doing? I was thinking it up. You just handballed it. Penalty now. I was like, oh, what's penalty? I'm not playing rugby. I was just running with it. So I had no idea that something so simple like football. I had 2 mates, they pulled me aside. They said, look, you can't keep doing this. I said, what? I said, you can't keep doing it. All I could say was what, really? I couldn't speak properly. You know, it was like, oh, all right. They taught me how to play football. And it's probably the worst thing they did actually, because I was rubbish at football anyway. So they stuck me in goal, I was rubbish there. They stuck me in defence, people just walked past me. Midfield, I didn't even know what I was doing. And strike, the minute I got the ball, I just skied it. So I was useless at football. I think they just were happy with me watching the game in the end. But simplest thing like that, I didn't know how to play football. It's so easy. But for me, it's hard to understand. Offside, for a little while, offside, I thought that was when you went off the pitch. Offside. I heard the word offside, I thought, oh, so when you're off the side of the pitch. No, that's when one player's in front of another player, which means that he can't pass the ball to the person in front of the player, because that means he's behind the player that should be in front of the player. How do you explain that to someone with autism? I was thinking, what? But little things like that. And those are the things that didn't help as well. The understanding of autism back then was very limited. I met a lot of teachers that didn't know a lot about autism, to the point where they used to just turn around to my mum and go, yeah, it's got autism, it's just naughty. I believe that no one's naughty. I think behaviour sometimes can be naughty, but I think everyone does an action or a behaviour for a reason. You probably see a lot of kids with autism in shops when they're younger, and they're getting dragged on the floor by their parents while they're screaming, right? People will look at that, parents will go, can't you control your child, can't you behave? What's wrong with you? A lot of that though, guys. They're on the floor, they're getting dragged because the sensory overload in the shops. There's lights, there's noise. All that child is saying is, I don't want to go into that shop, it's scary, I'm scared. I'm scared of the noise, I'm scared of the light. But they don't know how to communicate it. So their way of communicating it is they will lay on the floor and they will have to be dragged into the shop. And then people will look at that and go, well, you know, what are you doing? Can't control your kid. Really, that's their way of saying, I can't go in that shop. So it's, again, bad behaviour, naughty behaviour, but there's a reason behind it. And once we get into that frame of mind, then we can start supporting them in the right way that we need to. Other things at school, as I say, just relationship with people. I was very much a person that found it very hard to communicate with people. I obviously make up for it now because I talk like for England, so I'll be a good politician, probably sort Brexit out in an hour, so I'll be alright. But back then I was useless, couldn't communicate to save my life. So I then went to secondary school, and there's me in secondary school, I'm posing for some reason, I don't know why. God, I aged, didn't I? What happened? Relationships again. My secondary school, I'll be honest, I didn't like secondary school, because you kind of go out into this other, I had to go to another school, so all my mates went up to the school up the road. As me, I had to go to a completely different school, completely different area, and I kind of had to make friends again, which was really difficult. Relationship with teachers again, because it's a mainstream school as well. A lot of the teachers again at the time, I know it's got a lot better since 10 years ago, but a lot of the teachers again then found it very hard to understand autism. They didn't know a lot about it. And that's kind of why I would go and talk at schools now, is to not only help people that might be on the autism spectrum or have autism, but also to help the teachers kind of understand it more. So I had to go to a school with an ASD unit. ASD unit is just an autism spectrum unit. So you'd think that would help, you'd think there'd be more understanding, but this school had the kind of idea where they'd have an ASD unit, but the people that behaved with autism would stay, and the people that showed a little bit of misbehaviour would leave. And a lot of schools, not now, but certainly back then, a lot of schools would do that because they had kind of statistics to have, you know, 100% of our autistic students went on and got an A in GCSE. That looks really good, but now, schools are more focused on actually not excluding people with autism and actually trying to get them through school rather than just what looks good on paper. But again, at the time, lack of understanding, people didn't really know how to work it, and you know, people have learned a lot in 10 years. The Autism Act came in 10 years ago. I was just at that secondary school, so the Autism Act wasn't in yet. So they didn't really know a lot about it, even then. So a lot's changed in 10 years, but things that didn't help, bigger environment, had to make new friends, had to go to a different area. So I come from the village, so when someone says to me, oh, that's sick, or you know, anything like that, I didn't really understand what it meant. I thought sick meant bad, I just associated with vomit, and went, well, that's not very nice, is it? I didn't really know what these words were, therefore I couldn't really communicate the best I could. So school was a bit tough for me until my next school, which I went to. And this school was brilliant. So this was a special needs school. They specialise in autism, ADHD, OCD, people that had come from kind of tough families, bad environments, and they dealt with a range of people. And that school was really supportive. It's just little things, you know, teachers would listen to me, they'd understand where I was coming from more, you know, they would take the time to get to know the individual, and I think when you have a good relationship with your teacher, you know, it will help you guys, because you can just go to them and talk to them like they were your mate, and that's kind of what that school helped me do. So the only downside of this school is they didn't do GCSEs. Now, what I say to all you guys is, and I don't want to sound like the boring guy that comes in and talks, but honestly, do as well as you can in your studies, in your GCSEs. Everything you do, just try your best. It's not the be all end all. Don't think if you don't get an A star, you get a B or a C or a D. Don't think it's the end of the world. Don't think that your life is over. Because if I thought like that, I'll probably be working in KFC right now and not talking to you guys. So, you know, it's not the be all end all, but it definitely helps you secure a future for yourselves. And you might think that's a long way away. And again, I don't want to sound like the boring guy, but that was me. I was thinking exactly the same as you, and now I'm 22 years old, and it's just like yesterday I was 16, 14, 9, 10, you know, it's gone very quick, and it does. And I wish I could just go back to school. And none of you will think that, none of you'll think, oh no, I can't wait to leave school. But I would love to go back to school and just kind of be in that environment again. This school though, teachers were really good, they listened. It was the first ever school I went to where teachers really understood autism. And it was because they listened, and it was because it was a smaller environment, and they were able to kind of support the people who were at the school and be able to give them what they needed. As bigger schools kind of can find it hard to give that. But bigger schools are getting better at giving that support. You always think the teacher's around to get you, but once you actually listen to the teachers and you start explaining and you just build a kind of relationship with them, it can actually go a long way. And again, I'm not saying it's easy because it can be hard, but just, I would say, trust the teachers around you, just trust them, trust that they're going to help you, and I think they will. I think at the end of the day, they are here because they care. They could easily go off and get another job somewhere else, but they're here and they come in every day because they care. But that was the best school I went to, and as I said, the only downside was they didn't do GCSEs. So I'm going to move into what kind of happened next. So what happened next, guys? So when I was at that school, I'd done work experience in a cafe. Hated it, guys. Hated it. Never want to work in a cafe my whole life. My back was aching, my hands were just covered in soap all day. I hated it, couldn't stand it. Got orders wrong, people handing me money, maths were terrible with maths. Don't even get me started. I failed 8 times in my functional skills, not even a GCSE. 8 times I failed. So that's when I realised I don't want to work in a cafe. So then I went to Kaspersky, that was the IT company I'd done work experience for. I then went on to Newby College, I studied IT and media. Again, I didn't like college, big environment. I stuck at it though, passed my qualification, but I didn't like college. The support was very, it's difficult when you go to college because everything becomes more independent. You've got no one there for you, it's just kind of you're on your own. And when you've got autism as well, that's the last thing you want to feel is like you're on your own. So it can be very difficult with anyone with autism, anyone in general going to college, because it is a big kind of step. I then started thinking about my acting, wanted to progress in my acting. I was watching a show on telly, and I said, I'd love to do acting, and I thought, get off your bum and do it. I then went and got in a play in Newbury called The Passion. I then got in a play called The Tragedy on Airborne Road, and then I became an extra on Glue for 1 episode. And while I was at Glue, there was this rope, and it was separating the actors and the extras, because the actors were important. You know, they couldn't be seen mixing with the extras. It looked bad. Their protection, you know. Me being me, I just went over the rope like that, and I just started talking to the actors, and I pretended I was an actor who was joining the show next week, who was just happened to step on by and see what the show was all about. And they all believed me. So while I was doing that, I was getting all this information. You know, what agent do you have? Who do I need to talk to? What can I do to get in this business? And they told me what advice I needed. So for a good year, I started emailing every casting director I could find in the UK. In that time as well, I joined Sovereign as an apprentice. Out of 300 people, guys, I narrowed it down to 50. And the email, they said to me, and this is a typical Asperger's thing as well, we take things literally. They said to me, come dressed smart, right? My smart isn't a suit, not like I'm in now, I've learned from that experience. But my smart was a checkered shirt and chinos. So I turn up, everyone's wearing a suit, 50 people wearing a suit. I am stood there like, where's Wally in a checkered shirt and chinos? And I'm thinking, I ain't got this job, not for the life of me. They stuck me on an English and maths test. Again, I've failed maths 7 times. That maths test must have been horrible. I thought, I've not got this job. They then do a team exercise. You're trapped in a desert, you can take 10 items. What do you take? But you never know what they're going to look for in these interviews. And then I had the one-to-one interview, and that's where it really kicked off for me. Because what I'd done was I took all the work I'd done in my work experience, I brought it in, I gave them the book, and I said, this is all the stuff I can do. And it's really important, I think, if you bring evidence to an interview, because there's plenty of people that walk into an interview and go, I can do this, I can do that, I can do this. But if you bring evidence, that's our guy. We're hiring tomorrow. And that's why I think it's important to bring evidence. Off the back of that, I joined Sovereign. I had to take my maths 7 times, guys, just to get the job, because I needed to pass my maths to get the job. I did, and off the back of that, I won Apprentice of the Year for 2016 in West Berkshire. After that, my career finally took off in acting. I had an email from the Holby City director for a main part on Holby City and go up for an audition. Luckily, I got the part, and off the back of that, I got an agent. Then I got the role on Doctors. I've been on Doctors twice now. Then I done a campaign for the National Autism Society, so I still work heavily with them. So, you know, I can speak about autism more in general, and again, give the opportunities to people that necessarily I didn't have and that I kind of fight for them, really. I then went on to BBC Breakfast. I've talked on the right stuff, and I've done adverts for Ford. And also I've just finished doing an advert for Santander. So I suppose my message is, guys, don't let anyone ever tell you that you can't do anything. I had a teacher once turn around to me and he said, people that say you can do anything in life are liars. Right? I've spent the last 6 years proving him wrong. Regardless of what qualifications you got, how big your dream is compared to what's realistic. My mum said to me the other day, you've got no limitations. I go, no, your limitations are the ones that you set for yourself. The sky's the limit, guys. If you've got a dream, pursue it. You're only here once, you only live once. Doesn't matter what grades you get, obviously work hard. It will help you in the long run. But don't feel bad if you get a B or a C or a D, whatever you get. It's not the end of the world. But if you want something, guys, you can do it. Just believe in yourself. And that is it really, guys. Thank you, and I'm happy to take any questions.